All right, I'll call this meeting to order. This is Town Council, Town of Alpine, Wyoming, May 21st, 2024. First thing we'll do is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Councilman Larson.
Here.
Councilman Dickerson.
Here.
Mayor Green.
Here.
And Councilman Castillo.
Here.
Councilman Burchard. Mayor Green, you have a quorum of the council with Councilman Burchard absent, and it was an excused absence.
It was. She did have something better to do. Her son was getting
An award.
a scholarship.
Yes.
And so this was tonight, this was the presentation. So yes, it was excused. She may come, she may come later
Okay.
if she gets the opportunity, but yeah, so. First thing on the agenda is the consent agenda. Did everyone have a chance to read through? Any questions?
Yes and no.
I'm sorry?
Say yes and no.
You
Yes,
had-
I had a chance
you
to
read
read
and
through
you had
it, no, I have
questions.
no.
Oh, appreciate that, yes. Thank you for being so thorough. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion for approval of consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, and it's been seconded. Any discussion?
I do have a little
Yes.
discussion. Actually, Monica, on the
Yes.
one bill that we pulled for Rob to investigate,
Mm-hmm.
is that included under bills to pay?
It is.
Okay.
And did you see his
did we-
answer?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't get any response, so I must have gotten stuck.
Oh, that's okay. Let me pull it, because I sent an email copy to you and he did respond.
Thank you.
Do you have that bill, bills to pay report? Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you. This is pulled for, it's $6,230 for the sewer department. And I think it
Remember
was
who it was
booked
for?
under repairs and maintenance. It was Rob.
Who the vendor was?
No, I did not.
Okay. let's look.
It's like, shoot. It's like, okay, should be able to tell by the number. It wasn't professional services.
There was one on the first page.
Was there? Oh,
Okay,
you looked
so-
better than I did.
This is the picture that
Okay.
he sent. And Rob's email says, "Good morning, attached is a picture of one of the two Echo touchpads that has a black screen. These two UV control units are 15 years old. We need to be able to see the screen for programming and alarm codes." So he purchased a screen.
Okay.
That's what it was
And that
for.
was the can you remind us of the total cost for that? Never mind.
That's okay.
Don't worry.
Let hand me the,
Here it is.
I couldn't remember which one. It was 6,000
I feel like it was.
to.
Oh, six.
Let me find it. I'll find it.
I don't know. We pulled quite a few, so I believe that's the one that
Okay.
I inquired about.
Who's the vendor?
Oh, it's Xylem Water Solutions.
Okay.
And it was for $6,252.60.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what the old one looks like?
Or this is what the new one looks like.
It looks like the old one. I printed it in black
Oh,
and white.
okay.
If you see it in color, it looks
Okay.
like it's very, very old.
So
he
he's
said they were.
anticipating having to replace another one? as
He
well?
said is one of the two Eco touchpads that has a black screen.
Okay.
Kevin, would a black
Kevin is-
screen mean it doesn't work? Is that what he means?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I assume that, but I don't want to.
And again, it's
Be wrong.
something that's not planned. It just
It was a
breaks.
very
and-
large-
Yeah, and there's,
Yeah.
it's 15 years old.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's-
perfect. I really appreciate that,
Yep,
Monica. Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Okay, so no more questions? Okay. Any further questions? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll go, let's see, right into reports. I don't have much to report, but I think we have a lot going on in the town right now. Let's see. Madam Clerk, we've been talking on so many things lately. What should I enlighten all these lovely people about? I'll be more prepared if something comes up.
We're all so busy that I haven't created a
Exactly.
list.
We've got our head down right now. We'll just go right into the engineering
Do
report.
you want to yield some of your time?
I will to Mr. Allen. I will at the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just figured we'll run through these and then we'll
Perfect.
give him the floor.
Perfect.
Hi, Kevin.
Hello, Kevin Maher, Jorgensen, for the engineering report. Haley submitted the flap grant this last, so we're going to be waiting on that here in the next couple of months, see how that goes.
Technically, Monica
Right,
submitted
Monica
but
submitted.
She prepared it.
Yes.
But give Monica credit. Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, we've got the flap grant pushed through. Monica is working on the Safe Streets for All grant as well, doing the demo on that. The radio read meters, Coulter's going to come down here on Friday and meet with y'all at 11 o'clock.
Yep.
And kind of give you an update on that. He's looking at the first part of July to try and get it out for bids, and then we can push it through and then see what we get for prices. The only concern that he's got is getting the meters themselves, to get them here on time.
Right.
Luckily, all the work is in a meter pit or in a vault somewhere that the work can pretty much happen throughout deep fall and early winter. So it shouldn't matter except for a pole here or there for the communications.
Yep.
So Tyson is working on the mega well at the old Excel development.
Right.
So trying to make sure, get all the permits pulled together. And then he's also going to look at all the existing and future areas for the town of Alpine, that way that you can, basically you'll be approved to serve all those areas rather than just the little areas and little subdivisions that it's approved.
I know that that's all very muddy, and getting to the bottom of it is going to take some time, but
Yeah.
that's like a huge priority for us.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys are working on it. We need to get it cleared up.
Yeah, the water model's going to help a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
The planning and zoning map that you had us redo with all the existing, that's going to help a lot because that'll show what areas y'all have expanded to, what you're in, what you're going to look forward.
Yep.
So all that's going to kind of get together. DEQ knows all that, so they know that you're not exactly, everything I's dotted kind of thing, but they understand where we're going and why we're going there and the reason we're getting there. So they seemed on board with all that.
Yep.
The pretreatment plant, the general contractor is pretty much finishing up. We're getting down to the small pieces. HVAC is the biggest thing that's left. The louvers are there. The equipment is there. I talked to Greg today. He's supposed to be there Friday to put some louvers in with a lift. So really 1-2 good weeks. If he's there, we can get a lot done. And then I talked to Robert about trying to get a bill out this next week with hopefully some HVAC work on it. And then next month would be the punch list. And then the month after that would be the 40-day public notice for lien releases. So on his side. On the process piping side, we had one contractor that showed interest in it. They gave us a price of $487,000 on it, but they didn't include the bond, so it went up to $507,000 on that. I've got JVA Consulting. They're going to help me review the bid to make sure everything's there, make sure it's all complete.
Covered. We want one price on this.
Right. We don't want to keep
change
changing.
orders at the end.
Right. So that's kind of where that's at right now. Yeah. We've also started to do a little bit of the budget for FY25. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow on that, dig into that a little bit more. Let's see. We just got done working through all the lift stations for the wastewater collection system, so we could use a portable generator on that. We worked with a Musgrove engineer today all afternoon and looked at every two of the wells, and then we looked at all the lift stations.
Okay.
So see how we can put those together.
And you're going to give us a report on what it's going to cost to
Yes.
make them mobile generator adapted?
Yes.
Okay.
There's 3 of the 5 lift stations that are already set up.
Oh, really?
One is such a small one that a little generator will take care of it.
Okay.
So it's really just kind of getting one ready for it. The Grays River well that Craig wanted to have a bigger generator to run all 3 wells and not just one at a time
Correct.
is the correct size that we could actually move it to the mega well
Perfect.
and move it over.
That's what he was
So,
hoping.
That's a win.
yeah.
That's great news.
Yeah, in the documents for the mega well, it actually listed a generator. So we probably just need to look through the documents to make sure that that was excluded at some point. So,
Okay.
And then also the generator, same to move
For
over
the s-
to the Civic Center? For
the Civic Center, we've got it on spec
Okay.
right now. So if the spec goes through on that, then we'll start actually getting it spec'd out. Yeah, that way it's per your specifications and it's easy to do maintenance on, and yeah, we'll get a hard number for that.
Yep.
Let's see. Jim Corsi, Public Works was there today. They replaced the water meter pit. They found a leak, a galvanized leak going across the road, so they're going to replace that line and get that taken care of. He thought he'd have it kind of wrapped up tomorrow.
Okay.
So hopefully that takes care of that. That's all I had.
Have we moved any further, not to take you back a couple items, but for the radio read towers, the communication towers?
Yeah, the 2 places they're looking at, when they did the model for it,
Right.
was at the Public Works Building
Okay.
and over at Ferry Park,
Great Peak Park, yeah.
Ferry Peak Park. And then it's basically a telephone pole with a small antenna on top, about
Okay.
40 feet tall. So it'll probably pretty much blend into,
You probably won't even notice it.
I was worried
Yeah.
about it being high profile, so
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear.
I hadn't heard it was looking like a telephone pole,
Yeah.
but that's great.
Great.
Yeah.
It just looks like every other telephone power pole in the neighborhoods.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
We could put some garland on it. and-
Yeah.
Sure. Dress it up a little bit for Christmas.
We
Yeah.
should just.
Flashy lights.
Christmas tree shape. Any questions for Kevin? Thanks, Kevin.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Kevin.
Mr. Mayor, is there a map that's gonna be following the master plan map? Yes. You guys have revamped that from the 2006, is there a new map?
Yeah, so you can see behind Monica is the current map. So what we've got is we've got another one coming that basically has that same layout, except for it's the existing map of the town boundaries currently. So the plan was there so you could see where it's all current commercial mixed use for y'all basically to understand where everything's at now. And then the plan was to let y'all look at it for what you think is coming in the future and what you would like those extra areas to come in as.
So is there a reason why we're not just taking it all the way to the Idaho border?
That's basically what the future is.
That's what the future is
Yeah,
gonna be.
yeah.
All right.
We just wanted to touch bases kind of with y'all and the town to make sure how deep and how far and,
Sure.
north and south and,
Because that question's coming up in planning and zoning, like,
yeah.
what did the master plan call for that piece of property?
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
And so-
we'll
When
get
do you
a copy of that.
anticipate getting that?
We've got that map right there done. We're just looking at the future right now.
I'm so glad.
Okay.
So I could
It-
get you the
So
existing now.
basically, the one you did, though, is an update to the zoning map.
Yes, it's a planning and zoning.
And then once that map will allow Planning and Zoning Commission and Town Council to review that and then update the master plan map.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Perfect. Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, it's just little steps to kind of get us there. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. Thank you. Next, we have planning and zoning. Sue Coldus.
Good evening, council and Monica and council. So points of interest from planning and zoning. There was a tower that was proposed that is not a planning and zoning item. That needs to be between Hafiz and Silver Star. It's not an ordinance in the LUDC, and it was presented to us, so we kind of said those two have to work it out. So you have it in your packet. I'm assuming you know what I'm talking about.
Does everyone know?
It was not in the packet,
Yeah.
because based on the recommendation, and I've actually talked to Surveyor Sherble, who's involved in that. That's going to be one of the items that we have a conversation about before it's on our agenda next month.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's talking about the cell tower.
The cell tower, sorry.
On Silver,
Because there's already one.
Yes.
And so what they would like to make it taller. So it's right now like,
there's also,
it's-
there's a requirement.
There's a diameter.
Fall down, so
right.
Yeah.
whatever
Right.
tall it is, it has to distance,
Hey,
which
But if you're going to speak, you got to make sure you're on the microphone. So just so when
Well-
we're doing the minutes, okay, just.
So there will
so
be
everyone knows.
details that we will work out further.
And again, it's kind of not in our jurisdiction in terms of planning and zoning. Silver Star and the owner have to work that out.
Yeah.
It's-
We'll be
Not
talking
even-
about that
okay.
a lot more, and thank you for letting us know that that came up. But yes, you can just kick that right back.
Okay, great. Okay, also, there was a variance report submitted to the Board of Adjustments, which some of us of planning and zoning are on. It's with regards to Alpine Meadows, and we actually, it's for the emergency, the Star Valley Medical has requested more signage, which is totally understandable, but we felt we didn't even want to discuss it until the homeowners had a chance to review it and discuss it, and that hadn't happened.
Okay.
And they were set to have a meeting, and I don't think it happened yet, but we'll discuss it once that happens. We
That sounds
we weren't
wonderful.
comfortable deciding on anything until they pitched in.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, and although Star Valley Health, did discuss different lumens on both sides, so it won't be as bright on the Alpine Meadows side, I mean, they were very conscientious.
Right.
But again, let's let the homeowners have that conversation.
Yes.
So.
Smart.
And also, we have sent 2 certified letters with regards to Chapter 5, Item 306 of the LUDC, which is failure to show documentation on 2 projects for LashCon and our Mexican restaurant, La Tienda. We've asked for plot plans with civil drawings for their projects, specifically sewer and water. We have not received anything. We noticed there's some water being diverted. There were things that we're still waiting for that we haven't received. So we have sent them letters demanding certain items that we
What is
keep
the
asking
next
for.
Step after that, because I know that some of the meetings I've attended, they've been scheduled in reference to La Tienda, and they haven't shown up. And we've tried to offer as much support as possible to make sure that they know we are there to help them with documentation. So I was just curious, since we haven't encountered this too often, how we move forward.
Well, so Dan Scow, Planning and Zoning. The part of enforcement is all laid out in the LUDC, and it
Right.
says it's all planning and zoning.
Okay.
So as it goes to LashCon, we required him to give us a full civil set of drawings because he was going to divert his sewer and water to different buildings.
Okay.
We told him he could dig. He couldn't pour concrete. He went ahead and poured concrete.
Oh, it's there. I just saw that
So-
yesterday. Okay.
We sent him, as of the LUDCs, we sent him a certified letter saying, if we don't have this by the 28th, we're going to pull his permit.
Okay.
Same thing with the Mexican restaurant. If we don't get what we want by the 28th, we're going to shut them down,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
It's gone on too far.
Well, no, I think you've been
It's just-
extremely patient.
We have to educate the community, and this is what happens if you don't follow the rules.
Okay.
It's all within the land use development code,
It's all
so
in
you're
there.
doing everything exactly the way you're supposed to. So
Thank you,
good job.
Mr. Scow.
Thank you.
Is that all you had?
And we're thrilled about the master plan situation.
Yes, of course.
Because we're chomping at the bit on that one.
We're going to have another update on that next month,
Okay.
on the whole master plan process that was happening earlier, well, last year. So we might have an update by the time the next meeting comes around, so thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll keep moving down. Councilman Larson, the triumvirate.
Oh, boy. Economic Development Report. So as I said last month's meeting, it's kind of turned into more of the SLC, South Lincoln County Economic Development. They were on a monthly call last week, May 17th. Topics were more of TerraPower and, let's see, some economic research, research and economic division with University of Wyoming projects, with TerraPower, with Intermountain West Nuclear Energy Corridor. Again, it's South Lincoln County Economic Development Committee, therefore most of the business pertain to South Lincoln County. And that's all I have for that. Mayor, did you want to add?
No, I was on that meeting for the first little bit, but yeah, it's I had another appointment, so.
Yep. Utility easements for the hill, we're almost there. And we're planning on being there this summer. Just yesterday, today, Lower Valley beautified the road from all their work last fall. So they put down road base and some gravel, cleaned up Terrace Drive, Pinecrest Drive, or Pinecrest Circle, Pinecrest anyway. And it looks great. Looks really good. And the work to be started this summer will be on the Sunset side. We're working on an easement with the Forest Service so we can have access to the water towers up there. Right now, it's just water, but with today's technology, we need utilities. So communications, both power and fiber as technology progresses. So we're working on that. We're waiting on working with essentially 2 property owners, and we're working diligently with them. But if hopefully we won't have to go to Plan B or C, but everything's planned to get done by July of this summer. As I've said to my neighbors, it will be a mess. It will be a mess. There's no way around it. It's just going to be a mess, specifically on the, I believe it's Mountain View and at the very top of Sunset where the pavement ends and it turns to dirt, because it'll go out all the way to the end of Sunset. But if you take a drive on Terrace and Pinecrest and check it out, you see they cleaned up and they clean up nice. So cleanup will happen next year once they're done, because they want a full year of snow to settle in on the road. That's it for utility easement for now. Alpine Travel and Tourism Board, we met last week, 2 weeks ago. Anyway, we met for second reading. That second reading, we approved Music in the Mountains for the summer, ATAP's application for winter grooming, and Trout Unlimited's application for their film festival, which also raises money for habitat on the Salt and the Grays. I don't know if everybody went to the film fest 3 weeks ago. Huge turnout, absolutely amazing. They did a great job. They were blown away, and they're planning on building on that for next year as well. So that should be exciting.
I have a question on that. So you approved those 3?
Those 3.
Does that
Second
mean
reading.
that anything else died?
No.
If it didn't get passed?
No,
Okay.
no, goes to third reading. Third reading will be June 6th, and that will be third and final reading.
Okay.
And that'll be June 6th on third reading, 6 o'clock right here, and we'll finish it all up for this season. And I think that's it.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Any questions?
The Lincoln County Sheriff's report is in writing. We have one more esteemed guest that I'd like to yield my time to. That's Stephen Allen, the Chief of Staff for the County Commissioners. And we want to give him a little time. He's working his way up and down the county, and Alpine was one of his last stops, I think. But anyways, appreciate you coming. I'll give you the floor. Thanks.
Mayor, Council, I appreciate the opportunity to come before you, and you're not the very last. Labarge Opal is still sitting up
okay.
there. So, of course, those towns in the southern end have seen me over the last 2 years a lot. I really wanted to make an effort to get up here, and last week I was in Afton, Thane, and Star Valley Ranch. So we got a good chance to start understanding more of the dynamics up here. We talk about one of the goals of the county is to come together as one county, especially as we go and fight for SLIB money and things like that for the county as a whole. We've tried some economic development things and understand that that's not the path that's going to work for us, so we're going to go a different direction. We will find a way to create a more unified county in economic development and support and so on. My role as Chief of Staff, I manage the 8 departments that are not under elected officials. And then, of course, I represent the county in many state, regional, national areas. We've been up to see the CEO of Pacific Corp. I just talked to the new president of Rocky Mountain Power last Friday. We just secured roughly $4.3 million for the county in impact assistance with the Project West that's going in at Granger. So those kind of projects I take on and go and represent the county and fight for some of those dollars that we have coming. The importance of a lot of that development that goes on the other side of the BT. Notice I'm not using the N or S words, right? Right. So on the other side of the BT is the real effect for you guys is obviously POD, right? Jeremy knows what I'm talking about, right? Point of delivery is where sales tax is collected.
Right.
So we're fighting for a lot of pipe yards down there and things like that with these companies coming in. I'll clarify, the SLEDC monthly call was set up primarily for Terra Power. We've morphed it into expanding it to some of these other agencies. We try to have a presenter. We've had the SBA on to talk about the hub zone that Afton now has. We've tried to have the tribes on. They left us holding the bag, not surprising. But we're trying to bring tribal influences into the county, primarily because it's where the grant money is. Part of the problem that we have in Lincoln County is that Kemmer-Diamondville's medium income is so high that we're just out of the grants right off the bat. So we've got to find other innovative ways to do that. We recognize the housing concerns when we talk about 700,000+ on average for homes up on this side of the BT, 520,000 on average down there. It's hard to afford a house up here like that when you're working service jobs over in Jackson. And as much as we love Jackson and we like supporting the 500 Raceway, as Senator mentions every morning at 6 o'clock, right? We got $95,000, $125,000 a year jobs on the other side of the BT. So we are looking at regional transportation. That's our next big thing that we want to do. Of course, we have the wonderful 200 homes going into Thane, 200 going into Afton. We have another 150 coming in up around this area. Of course, you have that wonderful development with the apartment complex. Those are going to help increase that supply, and we're hoping that'll reduce some of the cost on that end of it. In Kemmer, we have 1,500 homes coming in. We're looking at trying to make those more permanent residents, and by doing that, kind of break that boom-bust cycle that they get down there. So, looking at housing, transportation, workforce development. I'm a trustee at the Western Wyoming Community College, so we're really trying to get them to bring a brick and mortar more to not only this side of the BT, but also that one, so as to give these supportive jobs, the indirect jobs that come with industry, an opportunity to get our kids in the CTE programs and move them up. So we're really pounding the pavement on that. Senator Dockstetter brought up to me about the Alpine Charter School and looking at some of the STEM piece of what's going on there. So as soon as President Young, our new president, comes on board, I've already promised Senator Dockstetter we'll make a one-on-one visit down there and have a discussion with him to say how are we going to expand STEM up here and support the charter school. So we're keeping our eyes on those things that are important to you. My role is really to be a resource to the communities as well as the outlying areas in the county. So we expect you to give me a call. That's why I give you a card, right? We've got our own, we have now the county's travel and tourism committee set up. It's not a joint powers, so we have a little leeway in how many members. We have 3. We're just really inching along. They're really trying to find their way. They're trying to develop a new logo for the county side of it. They have some great ideas as far as doing an annual booklet that highlights every community in Lincoln County that we can do for tourism. And I think that's a wonderful idea for them. We secured $215,000 for that Tourism and Travel Board out of the impact assistance. Somebody did some really quick math. And they got tired of cutting the other areas that I left out there because I knew they would cut something, right? You never get away with that. So for us to come out with 4.3, we asked 5.3. We were really happy all the way around. And the communities pretty much got everything they asked for. Cokeville, I think they were cut 170,000 because they didn't believe in the rest area needing to be done, but we're going to bring that one back. I think Kemmer was cut to $20,000, and that was it. All the other cities got everything they wanted. And that's kind of the key that we see it from the commission, is that we want the cities to be priority. You're the center hubs of all our grocery stores, all our commerce and our retail. And so the county as a whole needs to understand that. And that's obviously where we want our density, right? So as we grow from a planning side, density needs to be around the communities and expand out. And then we keep, according to our comprehensive plan, that rural agrarian part, the beauty of what everybody likes to have in Lincoln County. So with that in mind, I mean, we're 100% behind this body's plan and your annexation. We think it's a great novel idea on how you're approaching it, and so we're supporting it 100%, and we're really enjoying watching as you guys progress and take those things on. With that, I usually have an hour-long economic development speech. You're not getting it tonight, which goes in a little more
We'll
detail.
schedule that for the next meeting.
Absolutely, absolutely. Some people in here has heard it several times, so we just put them to sleep now. But when we look at from Granger to Kemmer, you're talking 9 major companies in the next 5 years. I mean, TerraPower just put a pin on the map. We're going to dump $4 billion on 3,000 people and say, oh, by the way, we're not giving you any infrastructure money. So it's created a lot of dynamics, and I know that's easy because the county seats down there to think that we focus on that, but that's not true. Part of my job is to prioritize all the communities and say, what's important? Alpine isn't the same as Afton. Afton's not the same as LaBarge. We recognize that and respect that. You as an independent governing body, that's the reason you're that way. You want your own personality. You want your own development. And of course, I'm a past president of a city council for 5 years. I was in the city of Rock Springs. So it's kind of interesting to have been on a city council with more people in the city than our whole county has. So
Yeah.
that dynamic has been really enlightening. But it reminds me of my father's hometown in Indiana. And I mean, they had 350 people. You know, my wife's family's been mining coal in southwest Wyoming since 1892. And one of the things that we find from a statewide perspective is that southwest Wyoming has to come together. I mean, you've got 3 of the 6 top counties right on our border: Teton, Sublette, Sweetwater, right? And so when you throw in Campbell and you throw in Lincoln and Converse, or Laramie and Converse, all of a sudden, you know, we fall somewhere around number 10. So when we go down to Cheyenne, we feel like it's an uphill battle sometimes. And we have some great commissioners. They work well together, and they're fighters. And that's just the nature of what we've got. If we don't go out there and let people know what we need, what we want, then we're not going to get it at all. So SLIB is on June 6th. I think we have, I'm going to go look at the list and see what other towns have on there, but the only one I'm aware of at this point is 1.4 million for the Joint Powers Water Board down there. We were able to secure, I think, 1.9 million to help them with the new 1,500 homes, so that was a big plus. The key to these 9 companies coming in between Granger and Kemmer is that as they start migrating toward Kemmer, that's going to open the door for you guys to look at tourism, recreation, and the impact, and we can start making arguments about that traffic flow. And they were, when we went through this last impact siting council, it was quite interesting to see what was important to them, what wasn't, you know. I mean, we secured, I think, almost $200,000 for the senior center down there. I didn't have a thought that that would even go through. Really was shocked. But again, I took a beating on the ones that I presented, but they were our throwaways, so we knew that some of those weren't going to go. We have a $300,000 project right now to redo the face of the courthouse. Those steps need to be redone. If we don't, we're going to start eroding the foundation of the courthouse. We want to do an eagle eye at $368,000 which will look at all the rural areas. The state already flies eagle eye over the urban areas, and that gives you the obliques and helps you in assessments and things like that. But we want to look at the rural areas and truly understand the impacts that are going on. And that'll give us some ideas on watersheds and things like that. Some of the things that we're looking at up here, we've secured CRS Engineering. We've asked them to look at Upper Valley, Lower Valley, and of course, on the other side of the BT, to see about sewage package plants. What we want to try to address is all of the septic systems we have in the county. We need to have some dumping spaces for those. So instead of putting that on the back of your sewage systems, the county wants to own that and see what we're going to do. We're moving down a path of hopefully bringing the water districts together, start talking about some of these solutions together. We've already had one meeting. The people that we brought in successfully upset, I think is the kind word of putting it. I think they lasted 30 minutes hearing about how this person got to Wyoming, and they looked up and said, "Are we going to do anything here?" And the guy said, "Well, we'll get to it." And he goes, "I haven't got enough time." And I think 5 people got up and walked out. So that task force is still on our agenda to kind of go through. So my role is to kind of prioritize these ideas as we go through, start eating that elephant one bite at a time. But as you can see, there's a lot on the plate and what we're doing. Yes, I'm looking for a planning director. Anybody? Let me know. Need it dearly. I think that as a whole, we're moving in the right direction in support of the communities in the county as a whole. Are there any questions, concerns?
We might have a few. Can you talk about the comprehensive plan that the county's doing and how that affects Alpine?
Well, first of all, our comprehensive plan has been, it goes back to 2006 was when it was originally done. Since that time, we've done our updates. The latest was 2021. So right now, we're going out and redoing the master transportation plan. And part of that is bike trails, hike trails. We're working very closely with the Forest Service to look at how to expand, especially the BT from Commissary Ridge all the way back up here. So,
And we've discussed that in person and definitely hopefully you'll be willing to work with us because we have kind of a
Absolutely.
plan of what we would like to see.
mhm.
Or we're developing the plan. My plan's up here, but we're going to be putting it out to the public soon.
Yeah, Amy Butler is going to run the show on the transportation
Yeah.
plan. We've hired an engineering firm to do the guidance, and they'll be doing all the public hearings and involvement to engage
Yeah,
everybody
We look forward to working with
as we
you
go
on that.
do that. The other piece of our comprehensive plan that I'd like to take on in 2025 is the first piece of it, which is the goals and objectives. I think those need to have better definitions. I think there needs to be clarity. We find that as we go through the P&Z process, that we've got a few holes in there that we need to clarify, because that sets the standard to what we do in our LUDs, if you will. So,
Did you have something specific you'd like to
No,
talk
I
about?
was
Okay.
going to ask about the comprehensive
Okay,
plan.
perfect.
sure.
Any other questions for Mr. Allen? Councilman Larson, you can do it.
Oh, I've already talked.
Oh, okay, good.
We've met a few times.
Okay, good.
He's seen me in action a couple of
Yeah.
times, and he reserved the tomatoes. I didn't get hit, so I appreciate that. Thank you, Councilman Larson.
And I appreciate you being so willing to come up and meet with us. Although this is the first time you've been in front of the town council, we've met several times.
Yep.
So, yeah, I appreciate it. And
Always available to come up,
Yep.
give me a call, and if there's something you want me to answer or address, I'm glad to do those things. My goal is to at least do it once a year,
Yeah.
so you kind of get an update of the county and how things are fitting in. But I'm always available. Call my number. All of us are busy, I get that, but I'll get back to you within 48 hours and, try to understand the answer you need or
yeah,
give you some guidance in the direction.
as you know, we'll always reach out to you. But we appreciate you getting back to us.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So,
No, we love the reports. It's a lot of a download, especially for residents that haven't been able to keep up on what's going on. There's a lot of moving parts. So we always welcome you to come by and
Thank you, I appreciate that,
give us a
Councilwoman.
download.
last thing I'll say is, have you done your budget yet, or you're working through the budget?
We're in the process of the budget this time. We've done our first run-throughs. Our estimate is somewhere between 25 to 27 million
Yep.
in our revenue, and the budget's a little higher than that, so now the pencils come out, so. But a lot of people had asked for almost double. I mean, everybody needs
Yeah.
funding, and we recognize that, and notice I'm not talking about the additional penny.
Totally separate, yeah.
Part of the way we see that is, that's not our place, it's the city's choice. And if the cities get their 2/3, we're obligated to put it on the ballot. And so if that's the desire of the cities, we support it 100%. How that looks on our end, since I was at Diamondville last night for their meeting, and I've heard the first set of numbers at 23 million, and we know the max is 24 over 4 years on a basic 6 million average. That only leaves about 700,000 for the county. So we're kind of looking at that going, but I got to blame Violet down in Afton and Brian, because I was very clear to them that the county had no dog in the fight, and we respect whatever the cities came up with. The issue, on the other hand, was we want to be sure that you guys really take the bulk of it anyway. So we were very pleased to see that amount and the cities having those needs. Senator can close his ears for now, but, as long as the state is not freeing up more monies for infrastructure, we got to do it ourselves. And that's the first question that SLIB asks us anyway. What are you doing to play your part? Having the extra penny is showing and demonstrating part of that. Being together in unity of one county is doing that. Did we go to the siting council and ask for the impact money? So we have to demonstrate those things before we go to SLIB. The SLIB one in June I talked about was 1.4 million. We have another 17 million up in August. And that's a loan through the state that the county manages to assist this development to get housing done in Kemmer. So that's a lot of what I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot of layers there. And Mary Crosby is wonderful.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Her and Beth Blackwell out of SLIB in Cheyenne. And we've made a lot of great friends in Cheyenne, especially policy advisors to the governor, and of course, Senator Dockstetter. And anytime we've wanted to see the governor, he's made sure we've been in there. I think we saw the governor one-on-one 3 times during the legislative
We're going to
session.
make sure we get our kind of comprehensive plan together for you from the standpoint of things that down the road we need to bring forward to SLIB and that we'll need your support on.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, we'll be coming up with that long list. The reason why I brought up the budget was, the 400 and whatever thousand that you have in there for the sheriff's building, the residence for the sheriff's deputy. When it comes time to talk about that, I want to be down there and tell you how important that is. So when are you going to be doing the discussions on the budget?
We've already gone through our first round of discussions.
Yeah.
So the sheriff's already presented his budget. I will bring that up to the commission and make sure that there's a conversation with you
Yeah.
concerning that.
Yeah, we're ready to move forward, and we're just waiting to make sure that you have the budget in line. But, yeah, that's super important to us on this end of the valley, so.
We fully understand that
Yep.
and understand the importance of having that coverage here. Yep.
Appreciate it. Any other questions for Mr. Allen?
It'll come to you after I leave.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I appreciate your time. We have kind
Of course,
of
thank
a
you.
long agenda, but I appreciate you
Absolutely.
coming up, and, yeah, look forward to working with you, and
I'm
thanks
like a
for
bad
everything
penny.
you're
I'll
doing.
show up again.
You always show up. And by the way, we will be attending your meeting on the 30th. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Monica and I will be there.
And we definitely want to keep doing that each quarter.
Yeah.
I think after this one, I think one of the discussions we'll have there is what are the future things the cities want to cover. I mean, we're kind of pushing the comprehensive plans and the master plans and all that, and you're one of the few cities that are really, it's the smaller cities that are having problems because they don't have the funds to hire consultants or what they feel they need to hire consultants. So we're kind of helping them along. So we look forward to your input to kind of help guide them as well.
Yeah. Well, appreciate that feedback, but yeah, we'll keep working together.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
All right. We do have Senator Dockstetter here. Did you have anything you wanted while we're in reports? Did you just come to? Okay. Appreciate it. we'll go right into our action items. First thing is resolution number 2024-21, petition for annexation Alpine Lakes.
Mr. Mayor, did you
Yes.
want to address the charter school update at the end
Oh, I'm
of
so
our agenda?
sorry.
It's on an agenda item. We can do it at the end.
I did not, I am so sorry, I skipped you. We cannot go forward unless we have
I will make it short.
Councilwoman Castillo's report on the the Education Committee.
Not the
You're- Go for it.
Oh, so I just wanted to give the community a quick update and preface it by saying we will be having one more meeting as an education committee. I know that a lot of these discussions have been happening without our public present, so we want to make sure that every family is given the opportunity to come and get an update about what we have been, the discussions that we've had, especially with Lincoln County. We had an incredible meeting a number of weeks ago. That was with donors. That was with our very own Dan Dockstader and other state representatives that lobbied very strongly on behalf of Alpine at the state level to get an extra charter permit, if you will, and they had really tried to earmark that for Alpine. So as we have hit some roadblocks discussing moving forward with improving our education for Alpine with the county, it was even suggested by the county that perhaps we should take our children and move them up to Teton County and
The school district.
repopulate the Teton County School District to help with some of our transportation requests. So, being that as it may, we decided to move forward with our other option, which is a charter school. We had some really incredible donors that have been in a lot of heavy discussions on how do we fund this moving forward, what are the steps, how do we apply, and they are willing to fund that initial cost for an application going out July 1st. We also met with the founder of the American Preparatory Academy, who's one of the options that we have for a really incredible education system here, charter school here in Alpine, and that would offer grade options, it would offer science programs. Really, the sky is the limit when it comes to how we can customize it. And we can have options down the line if we feel after maybe 2 or 3 years we'd like to explore. But they've come to the table and they are really passionate about this project. They called the multiple hours that our little children spend on school bus systems each day child abuse. So I think they're definitely on the same page as us when it comes to making a change and listening to what our community wants. So that's the biggest update. And again, once we schedule a public meeting, we will give all of the details. And then as a committee, we'll decide how best to offer
Our
how do I
support.
say it, our
whatever.
support
Yep.
moving forward to the council. So, yeah, very interesting viewpoints that were discussed.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you for the
Mr. Mayor.
update. Yeah, they have been putting in so many extra hours. We owe them a lot for kind of spearheading that process. So, yeah, thank you for the update. We will have more news soon, hopefully.
Yes.
So, we'll, back into the action items, we'll go ahead and get resolution number 2024-21, petition for annexation Alpine Lakes. I would entertain a motion to get it on the table.
I make a motion seeking approval for resolution number 2024-021, petition for annexation Alpine Lakes and authorization for Mayor Green to sign.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded, discussion.
So this resolution, just for everybody's awareness, is simply a resolution certifying that the petition that was submitted to the town of Alpine on May 3rd included all the required, the statutory requirements, and that it is valid, and then we proceed with the annexation process. So we are looking at, we've scheduled a meeting so that Surveyor Sherbill, who is representing also these petitioners as well, his office is representing them, so he's going to meet with the engineers and us so that we can make sure that we can get what we need to do to be able to do the analysis on utilities. So, So the next step is to prepare an annexation report.
So have we met all of our statutory requirements up to this point?
There's
There's none?
their application,
Oh.
their petition certified as complete and accurate. So
Okay.
yes, so that's.
And
what
you
this
responded to
petition-
them and
Yes,
said?
and I've notified them of that
Okay.
as well,
So basically, this resolution is just,
saying it's complete.
we accepted it, it's complete?
It's complete.
and- Okay.
Yep.
Any questions on that? If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of Resolution 2024-21 petition for annexation to Alpine Lake, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Resolution carries.
And I did forget to mention, just
That's right. Thank you for,
for everybody's clarification, we did pass, the town council, not me, you guys, passed a annexation process ordinance, a uniform annexation process ordinance, and this petition was filed with the town of Alpine in advance of that ordinance, and thus we're utilizing the normal statutory requirements. They are not subject to the new ordinance,
yep.
just so everybody's aware.
This was the last petition in before.
Yes.
And
Before,
so everything going forward, all of our newcomers going forward they're going to be going through the new process, but yes. All right, moving on to ordinance number 2024-4, Xyland subdivision annexation on first reading. Do we have a motion?
Motion for approval on first reading of ordinance number 2024-004, Xyland subdivision annexation.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. Any discussion?
For first reading, we're dropping the Exhibit B that is in here. Or I should say for second reading,
It will be up.
be swapping,
yes,
replacing Exhibit B
yes.
Where's that, Councilman Larson?
at the end
So,
in the application.
yeah, Exhibit B, it looks like somebody pulled this off of the system rather than
It
utilize.
shows a 7-acre parcel, and this is only
So
2.
this is not correct. The property, the parcel has been
Right,
split since then.
okay.
So Surveyor Sherbill has offered to get us an updated description.
Okay, so we'll update that for second reading.
Yeah.
Monica, can you talk a little bit about the background on how this came?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So for those of you who don't know, when we were in the process of doing the annexation for the Raymond Hafiz property, and Raymond and the petitioner used to be married and are no longer so. And so they both own property there. And so when we were doing Mr. Hafiz's annexation, there was a couple small parcels that were going to be left kind of on their own. So it would have been the Silver Star property. Mr. Mayor, could you point to that? And then the Zai Hafiz, which is the Xyland Lot 1 annexation. And so the town council had inquired with Surveyor Sherbill if there was a possibility of getting those properties to join the petition. We were able to add the Silver Star property because in the legal description, it was completely surrounded. However, the Xyland property, Lot 1, was not able to be added through that process, and so they petitioned independently, and we appreciate that. One of the good things about this is that this allows for access to not only road access to the Ray Hafiz property, it also will allow for the expansion of a gravity sewer line, and it could possibly even allow us to eliminate a lift station, which lift stations have ongoing maintenance, are expensive to run. If the sewage runs gravity, it's just a much better long-term situation. And so this allows the town of Alpine to truly be able to maneuver that across that property and in exchange give Mr. Hafiz a road to his property. So that's kind of the way we're looking.
And it also just kind of fills out that corner.
It does,
and
it
brings
fills out
them
that
into
corner.
the town. I do have the parcels brought up on the GIS, and this is the lot number 1 that we're discussing. So as you can tell, I could back out a little bit. Let's see. That when it populates the red, you can see that it just kind of makes sense to be into the town of Alpine there. So the county road would be the dividing line or the boundary for the town at that point. So, any other questions on that? Any other questions on this side of the table? No? Since there's no further questions, all those in favor of ordinance number 2024-04 Xylan subdivision annexation on first reading, say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Ordinance pass. First reading. Next is resolution number 2024-22 Dead Horse Meadows replat.
Making a motion seeking approval for resolution number 2024-22 Dead Horse Meadows replat and authorization for Mayor Green to sign.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Discussion. Looks like we have a recommendation
Yes.
from Planning and Zoning. Let's see, they passed it. Yes is the recommendation. And it looks like they're going to be basically replatting at this point 2 separate lots. And
Didn't look like there were any noted concerns.
yeah, no,
Okay.
no noted concerns. There's a staff report that I'm sure all of you had a chance to read.
It also doesn't look like you had an audience.
Did you not
Did
have
I
anyone
read
at
that
Planning and
correctly?
Zoning that night?
Oh, we had lots of people at planning.
Okay.
I meant residents. You don't count.
Oh, only the important ones. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
have any questions on this. Does anyone else have any questions?
No, looks good.
The applicant has demonstrated and or met the requirements for the submitted simple subdivision application. Okay.
I think it's important to
Mr. Scow, did you have something to add to the conversation?
Yeah, Dan Scow, Planning and Zoning. I think what's important to note is that they'll be coming back for other
Future rezo, or
future
replat.
plat
Yep.
replats.
So what is the reason why we're talking to him now? Maybe we should, yeah, do you mind? Thanks.
Good evening, Tyler Davis. So the big thing we're trying to do is mainly meet the AVR HOA rules. Right now, we're zoned commercial. My plan all along, I don't have a whole lot of details, but was trying to do something commercial on the highway, residential in the back. For us to, right now, it's an either or. We have to pick one. So if we can do this, we can do the front lot like a commercial lot and the back lot a residential, whether it's single family, multifamily. So I'm really trying to meet that HOA CC&R rule is why we're here now, and then we'll come back with more more detailed information.
And the number of acres that would be at the front?
It's 2.09, I think is what it is.
Okay.
And then 4.1 on the back lot
I could
there.
probably zoom in here.
2.1 on the map.
Or
and
2.1,
4.09 on the
there.
back.
Well, as we know, commercials needed in town, so this definitely, to me, makes a lot of sense, serves a purpose, and, yeah, can't wait for you to build that restaurant there on that.
So I've told you, literally in the last few weeks, a local business here has approached us to try to do something there. My plans were kind of reverse, was weight on that highway. I had no idea doing speculative commercial stuff there. It's definitely an owner-occupied type situation, I feel. So somebody had approached us, so that might actually, I feel, maybe sooner. You may see lot 1, some type of plan sooner than the back. So we're going to go back and work with the HOA and get some type of residential development on the backside.
Yeah.
Have you felt, this is just your personal opinion, but have you felt, especially working through the HOA, that residents living in the community have come forward and given their opinion and provided a little guidance?
Not a lot. When we had it under contract to buy, I met with the HOA board and,
Right.
what do you want? Obviously, they don't want a lot of density. Everybody's got their own line in the sand of what that is. They want definitely more residential.
Right.
And right now, within an either or, I felt nobody wants to live too close to the highway there.
Yeah.
So this is the best option of they agree that
Okay.
some type of commercial building up on the highway.
Makes sense for them?
I think it's
Okay.
smart. Yeah, appreciate you coming forward, and we are going to hold you to your experience on deed restricted or workforce housing. And
All right.
all your experience that you've had up in Jackson, that we're going to be knocking on your door here.
Sounds
soon.
good.
We definitely need your help on that, so.
All right, sounds good.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Tyler.
Any other comments? All right, all those in favor of resolution number 2024-22 Dead Horse Meadows replat, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Resolution carries. Nice, Frank, I'm getting it.
No, it's doing good, man.
Didn't even have to remind me. All right, next is ordinance number 2024-03, Building Department Fee Schedule on second reading. Do we have a motion?
Motion to, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve on second reading ordinance number 2024-003, Building Department Fee Schedule.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Discussion.
This was an incredible labor of love as far as research, and I greatly appreciate you bringing us all of the surrounding communities so that we have a little bit of an idea.
We tried to accommodate a chart to break it down. It's virtually impossible.
It's too complex.
Well, and there's bulk fees, there's line item fees, Teton County, it's literally impossible. And we made phone calls and we chatted with everyone and we tried. So this is, I think, the best we could do. As you could see in the letter from Sarah, who was wonderful to deal with, and she really worked hard on this. We didn't include the development fees for Jackson and Teton County due to the complexity of their fee structure. I mean, every single thing is a line item and a separate fee. It is, I
Causes
couldn't.
a lot of confusion.
Yeah. We felt, honestly, in looking at everyone across the board, from Teton County to Thane Afton, that our fees are right in the middle. We feel really good about it. We're not here to gouge anyone. I could tell you, when we talked to Afton, I said, "Are those really your fees, what you're charging?" She said, "Yes, but we're about to review them because we're in the red." And these will be changing, so.
I believe Thane said the exact same thing.
Yeah, so.
That we support you 100% in your increases.
Thank you. And again, Driggs and Victor, they can annex property. They've got state tax over in the Idaho side. So we factored all that in, and we feel good about these numbers. We really do.
I think another factor to take into account, especially with Thane, is the amount of staff. So you can't factor in the staff resources like we have to.
Yeah.
Departments are working with much less, and it takes them a lot less time, and they're also getting fewer requests.
Yes,
So it sounds like there's a lot to take into account.
there is.
Dan Scout, I think, because I got a lot to say. Jim, I really like your haircut. I think that the thing about Afton, they don't have inspections.
Right.
Yeah.
So that part of their whole system is completely out of it. Same thing with Thane. If you're gonna build in the county, all you need is a septic permit.
Yes.
That's not much. But here, you got a lot to deal with. Labor,
Yes.
sewer, water, it all costs money. And if we're spending more money than we're taking in.
Right.
The only way that anything can happen is by raising those fees. So.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Scow.
Any questions?
Where would we?
I have a bunch of questions.
Dan, get back up.
So I think some of the biggest jumps that I'm looking at and kind of question why they need to be that high are just starting on the ordinance. The re-inspections, I think they're just way too high, and I don't think that's justified. The permits for an addition is more than the actual single-family residence. Remodel might be, it's close to what the single-family residence is. I mean, yes, you have that's the base rate, then you have the square feet, but, so it's actually more. Garage seems quite high. I have a question regarding what the special hearing is for Planning and Zoning Commission. That might be for our Planning and Zoning Administrator. Also, my opinion is variance application, zoning map amendment. The replats seem quite high as well, so those are some of the concerns I have. I don't know if they're shared by other people on town council, but especially looking at the list that was brought together by the other, that Sarah brought together for all the other cities in the area. Of course, it's not apples to apples. Nothing's the same, but the jump that we're making is huge compared to what they're currently charging, so.
Correct. Well, you have you got a huge deficit in our department. So I don't know how you figured that out. We're losing money every time we take something in. Because you're annexing where all these other towns don't, you're gonna spend all that time and labor trying to understand how you're gonna replat.
Well, the changes that we did in the ordinance for annexation cover a lot of those costs.
No, they don't, because a lot of that's done in planning and zoning.
Well, they do, that's why we made the change.
I know, but that doesn't regulate the fee, the labor change. It's still labor. We're laboring everywhere. Let's say like on a garage. How many inspections in a garage?
I don't know.
You're gonna have 4. You got
Right.
concrete, you got electrical, you got your framing, and you got your final.
Right.
All of those things take time. You
Right.
don't charge enough for those
But
inspections.
at $450 an hour?
No, because when you go and do those, you got paperwork and time and organization that has to figure those out. When we have to have a re-inspection, that's a penalty. Your re-inspection, I've been in business for 45 years, I've never had a re-inspection.
Right.
Good quality contractors don't have those. Here, you have more than your giant share,
Yeah.
and you don't charge for them.
Yeah, I don't think that's
Because
necessarily going to solve the
everybody here
problem.
is so nice.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to necessarily solve the problem. We're going to have re-inspections all the time.
Yeah,
So,
but-
and at that point, then we're just charging them exorbitant amount.
But it's not exorbitant if they do the job right. If they do the job right, they only pay, they only come one inspection for concrete. How many times do you have to have an inspector go by? 5, 6 times for concrete? I've heard that we've done that here.
Yes.
That's beyond, that's beyond.
So you feel as a contractor coming forward and taking a look at how much a re-inspection fee would cost you, you believe that will actually start to decrease the problem because they're
You-
going to be
you bet.
incentivized not to have a re-inspection.
Because the community here needs to learn that you guys are, you mean business. But shoddy work
Right.
and not following up and repairing it, that's just disaster. And I've seen that here quite a bit.
Yeah.
I've only been here for 3 years. I get to look, I walk, I see, I question, I call codes out all the time. If we're gonna raise our level up, we wanna annex and create, we have to put our big boy pants on and be ready for that.
Right.
But if you're not, then, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter, it really is, you have a deficit. I don't know how you fix that. The only way I can see you fixing that is by raising your fees.
Right.
That's it. That's all you got.
Would we fix it by not doing inspections? Meaning,
Pardon?
I say, would we fix it by not doing inspections ourselves?
No, you have to inspect,
Why?
because
Well, no, I mean, I
No,
get,
I think
why
he's
does
bringing
the,
up
why does the
outsourcing.
town, why is it beholden upon the town to inspect? I believe in inspections for sure, but where, like, we have a whole mess of other communities, and you're telling me that they don't inspect, why are we the anomaly? And why should we be the anomaly, and why should we inspect? Why should it be on the town?
60% of all the construction cases that are in the state come from Lincoln County because they don't inspect. And I bet you he could speak to that. They're very,
He says, don't get
there
me
is
into
a
it.
huge amount
It's
of,
not just the inspection. I'll
no,
tell you.
but I mean, but it's a lot, you know, from what we get to see and what we get to go look at.
But why should we be the arbiters of who's doing good work? Shouldn't that be the contractor and the owner?
Especially if it's costing us money.
Well, it's not gonna cost you money if you raise the fees. You're giving it away. You're giving it away. And how you are structuring these fees allow these guys to get away with murder because they don't follow the rules in the first place.
I've seen some stuff too, Dan.
Yeah.
Dan, I've been doing in the constructions industry for a long time. I've seen some garbage out there, you know?
And I don't want that to be this community. I live in this community. I want to be proud of this community.
Well, I think it comes down to safety and it comes down to longevity. So those are two things that we owe to our constituents. I believe, and not to speak for you at all, Councilman Larson, but I know that we had talks about outsourcing. I didn't know if that is something that we could consider and take the fee off the plate because now it's being charged by an outside entity.
After 45 years, I've never been in a community that's ever outsourced inspection.
Okay.
I've never been around it, so I can't really speak to it.
Right.
I'm fearful of it. There's a part of how we talk and how we handle our inspectors, how we handle the building department, how we handle planning, how all of that dialogue is communicated to the inspectors.
Right.
To not be able to communicate to inspectors who are privatized, I don't know if I like that a lot. I wouldn't like it. If-
That's a good point,
If you
Mo.
told me to go get a private inspection, I'd be going, why? Why do I need to?
Well, the thing is, the system is changing. The whole planning and zoning is changing because we have this new module that it's all going to be tracked. Basically, you're going to go online, get your building permit application, you're going to start it there, and then it's going to work you through. This is for your benefit, because in your meeting, you're going to be able to go and look at every single application that's out there. You can see what stage it's in. The inspections will be done. There'll be pictures, there'll be notes, the whole thing. And, yeah, I don't see why there's a difference whether they're working for the town of Alpine or outsourced. The only problem is we can't control the number of people.
Yeah, see, and I don't think you can control when the inspections get done.
Okay.
I don't think you can ever control any of that.
Right, but you
Because
deal
you
with that
gotta
in
trust
Teton
the-
County as
You
well.
gotta trust the contractor. I would have to trust you. Right?
As a
Or you-
contractor?
I would have to trust you to do your job correct. And there is nothing here that says that I can give you that.
I think we're all on the same page that we need to increase rates. I just want to make sure that we're not going way too far. You know, the variance, I still don't understand, and this is something we've got to talk to our planning administrator about, but why would we need to charge $5,000 for a variance application? So that's Star Valley Health is going to come in and want a variance for their signage. Why does it cost $5,000?
So they had an opportunity to do that last time. We told them,
That's irregardless.
do all your
That's-
signage. They would have never had to come.
Right.
Okay.
But
It's labor intensive.
It's
which,
For many,
what
many
part?
people. getting the variances based on a radius, contacting every person in that radius, doing a proper mailing, tracking the responses. I worked for a title insurance company for 20 years, and I could tell you the variance reports for realtors and owners is a very long
But
process.
again, we can
and very
put that on the
arduous.
applicant, just like we're doing with the annexation. So that's what I'm trying to make sure that I understand.
Yeah,
And
see,
we need to get to the bottom of all that.
And I've read that annexation, I just don't see it working.
Well, appreciate your feedback on that. This isn't the time to talk about it.
No,
We
I
should-
mean, I'm
coulda
just
had that a long
saying,
time.
as a builder, as a developer, I think it should be going through planning and zoning through a recommendation to you.
It is.
It does.
But the fees should be doled out by planning and zoning.
What do you
Well,
mean?
we don't have time to talk about that. That's already
We'll
been
dig into
passed.
that deeper, because obviously
it's
we
already
want to make
passed.
sure we're
It's-
on the same
it's-
page.
it's
Oh,
an
I know,
ordinance,
but
but-
making improvements moving forward, we always
Yeah.
want planning and zoning feedback.
No, planning and zoning is involved in it for sure.
So to go back to the variance, what were we missing out on as far as steps before? Because I don't believe that we were taking into account every single step and translating that into a fee. Is that why you're seeing that it's necessary?
Well, if you look at the original sheet that we brought out,
Right,
when we brought an adoption to you guys, we brought an ordinance change of the fees that had everything listed, and it compared what we had today and what we hope to get in the future.
yes,
When this whole discussion started, it was really a discussion through Monica, the clerk, who said, you're taking in here and you're spending here, and you're about 30 grand off.
right,
So I took the year prior, went through all that stuff and said, okay, we can get close, but we're not gonna make it the whole way. If you keep going with the annexation and we keep spending the same amount of labor into it, we were gonna show a greater deficit. So I'm a math guy, so I look at the math.
right.
I don't think you can create it by having an ordinance change with minimal little bits and pieces. I think you're gonna have to do wholesale, full sale, and the things that cost you the most are all of the replat stuff.
Okay,
So that's where this started.
Right.
And I just,
well, and it's a harsh reality because we have been working at a deficit, and we've never really quantified, to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, all of the steps, all of the labor.
Yeah.
Nobody's really looked at those hard numbers. So yes, they look incredibly high from what we were working with, but we were also leaving a lot of money on the table. So,
that's a,
Madam Clerk, did you have something to
Yeah,
add to the conversation?
May I speak to the
Yes.
financial side of this solely? So, and if you look at where we're at on our budget ordinance for the second reading that's coming up.
yeah,
So if you look at the licenses and permits, that's the income that comes through planning and zoning. That's how it comes into the,
What is
into
that
the
number?
system. So it's on ordinance number 2024
Well,
dash
we're not pull. I
But,
don't
I'm
have-
sorry, it's 100,000, it's 100, so I'm recommending the end of the year number to be 100, just under 101,000. If you then look at the planning and zoning, year-to-date expenditures, it's about 129. So yes,
Okay.
there is a gap.
right,
However, what you don't see in this, and this is what I was addressing with Dan, because yes, there is a $30,000 gap. It's, the town of Alpine needs to provide planning and zoning services. We have 1,200 residents who might need a fence, might need a deck, might need to re-roof, and we need to take care of those people. What we can't do, and what's really elevating the budget, is engineering costs. We love Kevin and Jorgensen. However, it's very expensive for them to analyze water and sewer. So we're seeing a huge increase in engineering costs. We're seeing a huge increase in just the costs associated with advertising. Advertising, although the planning and zoning fee ordinance says it absolutely should be billed to the person it wasn't being done. Nobody was actually doing it. It's getting done now. So it's really reduced our advertising bills, what our net effect is, because now I'm reviewing them, highlighting them, we're trying to decipher who they need to go to, and we make sure they're getting billed. So we have to provide a service, and we do get income from other places. It's part of being a town. But the concern is that all this stuff coming at us is creating, if we just raise fees across the board, it's going to create higher fees for the people who have lived in the town of Alpine since the day it was incorporated. And so while I'm not against that, if that's the solution, if that's your solution, that's fine. It's funny because we haven't really talked about this, so I'm kind of surprised to hear you echoing a conversation I had yesterday. It would be nice to know how many hours, now granted, every situation is going to be different, but to compare it to actual time spent and then push engineering, push advertising, push 67 cents per stamp back to whoever's creating that, the applicant. And what that does is it allows us, when the costs are huge, and it's because it's a major subdivision or whatever, because I'm not in planning and zoning, I don't really understand all of what Christine does. Thank God we have her to do it. But if we could find a way, I feel like there's got to be a middle ground to find a way that we don't punish the person who needs a deck affidavit or just a re-roof permit, but that we find a way to push it's almost, the impact is coming from them. They need to pay for it. The citizens of Alpine should not be subsidizing development in the town of Alpine.
That's exactly
Yes.
right.
That's the way I see it. What's going to happen, and you're going to see this in the next budget, is we are now going to be able, because of the new system, to more accurately track so Jorgensen's wonderful. If it's a planning and zoning issue, there's going to be a planning and zoning engineering line item. Nobody's ever looked at that before. It's just gone to admin.
Right.
And so you didn't see the true cost of planning and zoning because it was booked under an admin category. We now have planning and zoning postage. We now have planning and zoning advertising. So we're going to see that real effect. Our goal is not to punish planning and zoning or say, oh, there goes planning and zoning, look at them spending all that money. I mean, administration spends money. All of our departments do. We have to provide services. We just have to find a way to balance it.
Right, so by transferring the financial responsibility, let's say of the engineering costs and the advertising, you believe that we'll be able to close that gap between revenue and expenditure?
And then figure out roughly how much time. Sometimes it's going to be more, sometimes it's going to be less. But, if it takes 2 hours to do a deck permit, the process and time of town of Alpine employees, I know I have a spreadsheet that I can tell you exactly what that labor cost is.
Tracking will be more.
For labor, and so the goal would be to, almost like a mix. Look at what everybody else's fee, but also we do need to analyze our costs. And I don't mean to create more work for people, because they've worked very, very hard on this. But when you look at it just that way, you just see higher fees.
My feeling is, and I agree with what you're saying, like, there might be a deficit, but we don't necessarily have to make money on all these fees. We need to make sure we're covering our costs.
Yes.
So we need to make sure that we understand what the fixed costs are on all these things. $5,000, I keep picking on variance, but until we know what the hard number is, what it actually costs for us to do this, I think it's just way too high. Now, we may come back and be like, it's $5,000. If that's what it is, if that's the answer, then that's the answer.
I do know it takes a
But
lot
I
of
just think
time.
we need to put a lot more research into it.
Totally does.
And
Yeah.
also, simple, minor, and major. We've had people here that were, just doing a simple replat, breaking their subdivision into two different parcels. And what were they charged to do that up until now? You know?
I have
Yeah.
to pull, we didn't attach the old ordinance, it was in the last meeting.
Yeah. So I just,
Sorry.
this is a perfect example of where
I
we
think it was
can-
$750.
I think we
I
can,
think.
is that what the old one
I
was?
think.
Yeah.
That's right here.
So I think
That
we
was
can
the
look
simple
at maybe how many hours we had into it, but if we focus more on pushing all the variable costs out to the people that should, you know, carry those costs, then I think that clears up a lot of this, and maybe we're not as likely to run as a deficit. Do you agree with that, Monica?
No, I agree, but, and I agree, just to be clear, because I think there was some misconceptions that somehow planning and zoning has to make money. It doesn't have to make money. We just need to make sure that
Costs are being
that costs are
covered.
covered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me personally, I wouldn't even say it's a break even, because planning and zoning, I've sat in a seat where we were in a recession, and there was nothing going
Yes.
on. And then now we're in a boom. So it's a very variable, dynamic, you
Yeah.
know, group. I definitely don't believe in that planning and zoning has to make money. Now, we can't lose our shirts on it by any means, in any department. For me, this is second reading. Thank you so much for the research. I'm definitely going to delve into it and dig into it hard. Not only on just the fee structure, but, you know, why are we doing some of the things we are doing? And should we start to think about moving away from that makes more economic sense? But for second reading, I'm happy to pass this on in second reading.
Yeah, and do our research before third reading.
Yeah, because I haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, yeah, we just
No, I
got
think
this.
what they did is phenomenal.
Yeah.
They put a lot of hours into it and a lot of thought into it. And while I think it's fair, again, I think what they found is that when you look at everybody else's costs, it's fair. However, what if those costs lead to us charging people more than we needed to? I don't know. That's a hesitation would be, I guess we could correct,
Well,
self-correct.
and that is the
but-
difficulty. I think, in my viewpoint, I'm looking at it as we need a starting point, and we can make adjustments for our community moving forward. But as somebody who's sat in on some of these planning and zoning meetings, there is a huge diversity of thought when it comes to making sure that we do not overly financially prohibit
And- yes.
members, especially longstanding, retirement age, no income members of our community. And we also don't dissuade people from applying for permits in all aspects. So I really respect the three of you, because listening to your discussions, you really try to find that middle ground. And I think we're just gonna have to keep looking at this starting point. And even if we perhaps find that we've increased them a little bit, at least we'll have a pattern to go off of as far as man hours and resources. But right now, we don't have a lot of data to go off of, you know? So I appreciate you trying to put a monetary number
I think
to
we're
what we're
coming,
looking at.
I think we're coming to the close of this discussion, but I wanted to also say that my fear for making such a huge change is that the potential of quailing development, or people may choose like, all right, do I get to choose between Thane or Alpine? And they look at the fee structure like, okay, I'm doing this and we're gonna buy 15 acres and subdivide it, and they can figure out what that's gonna cost me, you know what I mean? And if they have a choice, then I just don't want that perception to be out there. So that's part of the reason why I'm attacking it from this angle, and I wanna make sure it's all justified. So it's you know, some of the things that I've already pointed out, we're going to dig into over the next little bit here and make sure we understand the reasons why. One last comment, if you have it, Dan.
Well, and my question is, it's a question to the board, and maybe it would be better served to planning and zoning. Like, Mr. Mayor, you just brought up, you know, the decks and the garages and the additions and stuff. I mean, I don't believe we're not, a lot of discussion has happened around hurting the little guy and hurting the people over here. We would love to if you could give us some written numbers and stuff so we could hash over and go look at that from each and one of you. I mean, we're out here like,
Right.
we're out here in left field
Yeah.
trying to figure it out.
Yes.
And
Before your
we're
next-
trying to help you guys. so-
Before your next meeting, I'm going to give you some feedback on the numbers that I would like you to consider.
Okay.
And then, yes, as far as the little guys, I mean, the decks and things like that, those are on an affidavit, so it's like $250 or $350. That's not going to kill the little guy. It's, you know, the potential of someone that's lived here for 30 years, they had this piece of property, now they want to build their house. How are we going to be, you know, affecting them? So that's,
I mean, the house building costs really, you know, the building costs really weren't that major. It was the replat fees, the engineering fees. If planning and zoning has a line item for engineering, we haven't even covered that. We haven't even reached that level yet.
Okay.
So, you know, there are things that if we're gonna have those things, we need to look at that. Now, obviously, planning and zoning really isn't gonna have any of that. I can kind of look forward in saying, but engineering is a huge aspect.
yeah.
What we are asking the community to provide for us, not a hand-drawn napkin. That's not happening
Right.
anymore. We're done. We're not gonna do that anymore.
You're going to have to, well, is it written in the land use development code?
We're making our own list of what the requirements are
Okay.
for planning and zoning. What's
Yeah,
the requirement?
so you're going to make recommendations? Okay. Well, I appreciate all your feedback, all the work that you guys have been doing. I know this
No,
has
it's
not been,
wonderful,
not been
honestly.
easy, and,
Well,
but-
I'm sure each of us will have some feedback and numbers to
yeah,
send
I want to
your way.
get you guys some more information. You'll have 2 meetings before we have another meeting, but hopefully if people have comments, we can get it to them sooner rather than later. So since there's no further discussion, all those in favor of ordinance number 2024-03, building department fee schedule on second reading, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Ordinance passed on second reading. Thanks, Frank. All right. Resolution number 2024-20, special purpose tax joint resolution. Do we have a motion to get it on the table?
Motion for approval for resolutions number 2024-020, special purpose tax joint resolution authorization for Mayor Green to sign.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. Thank you for that last little bit, that's real important on this.
We passed this last month?
So we passed basically a resolution that said we, as a town,
participate.
are participating. This is important because all of the 9 municipalities in the county have to pass this exact same resolution. Ours just happens to say the town of Alpine in our own resolution number, but every municipality is voting on this over the next couple days. Some have already done it. But this lays out exactly what it's going to look like on the ballot, if it does make it to the ballot. Everyone has spent, we've had so many meetings on this, and everyone has dialed in their numbers, their engineering numbers, what it actually specifically says, what their description, and this is the document that if we're willing to participate, that this has to be passed so we can send it to the county. So as Mr. Davis said, or excuse me, Mr. Allen said, that 2/3 of the communities have to approve this to have it sent to the county commissioners to put it on the ballot.
It is. Yeah. If you look at the if you go into the meetings and agenda, look at the HTML and you can just click on the link.
This is
Yeah, you could pull it up from your,
Yeah.
you could pull it up from your phone right now if you wanted.
Yeah.
So at this point, yes, we can read through each and every town and what they're bringing forward, but I will tell you that each town has only brought forward what they think is a necessity for them. Yes, the town of Alpine has other projects that maybe would have come higher on the list, that there was no other funding option or something like that. But we kind of took the look at it like, this is almost a tax for something above and beyond what we can provide. And I think the projects that the town of Alpine has added definitely enhances the area, and these are things that, I will also say, a reason why, everyone was excited to have Afton, Alpine high on the list is because our projects were, recreation, things of that nature. And then, not that there's anything wrong with some of these other towns, but they have things on there that are more infrastructure related, and they've kind of, don't have any other funding sources for those, so they decided to put those on this list. And that's their prerogative, but we really wanted to, if we're going to be bringing forward projects, make sure that we have a project that looks good on the ballot, so to speak. So, any questions regarding this document?
A few community members have reached out. Me, no new taxes, no new taxes, no new taxes. And asking when we passed it last month, why were we voting for increasing taxes? So I just want to be straight out there. If we pass this and what we passed last week, we are not passing taxes. We are putting this out to the community, and it's up to you to vote yea or nay.
Exactly.
So the vote here essentially gives you the choice. We're not making the choice for you. That's something I believe. With that said, looking at the town's projects, I'm pretty disappointed. I would just like to congratulate the town of Alpine for, having a realistic project with a realistic number. Because, this is, people can decide on their own.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
We would love for our project to happen, but we can't
This is
sell it.
or nothing.
No, we cannot advocate.
Yeah, we're not advocating, we're just educating, and at this point, if this happens to pass by 2/3 in the county, then what I suggest Alpine does, and all these other communities, is start to have public, open meetings and discuss more about what our project is and what everyone else's project is, because that's the education part that is so crucial to this. So, anyways. Any other comments? No further comments. All those in favor of resolution number 2024-20, special purpose tax joint resolution and authorization for Mayor Green to sign, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Resolution carries. Okay. Town of Alpine Public Works bid for vehicle.
Make a motion seeking approval for the lowest bid for Town of Alpine Public Works vehicle and authorize Mayor Green to sign the sales agreement.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Discussion. So those of you who weren't here for our bid opening, it was riveting, but there was one vehicle that
I buried it.
made the cut. I've got it right here. Our Public Works Director, Craig Leesburg, has been looking high and low for a new service vehicle, and the council approved purchasing one in our current fiscal budget, up to like $100,000 is what we had in there, 110. So, and that was for a new vehicle. We encouraged Craig to try to find a used vehicle that would help us get by, and he's been looking high and low and found one down in Texas that fits the bill very well. I'll actually bring this vehicle up on the screen here for those of you that are in attendance. So it's a service vehicle. It's under the miles that we stipulated. It's the year range that we stipulated. It's four-wheel drive. It happens to be white, which is kind of in our color scheme. The quote, the bid for just the vehicle was $46,613.36. That include a few dock fees and other things of that nature. And then there's another option to add in a service contract for 3 years, which would bring the total to $50,608.36. So at this point, we need to figure out if this is the vehicle we want to get or if we need to keep looking. And do we want to buy the service contract? So what are your thoughts?
For me, for this one, I'm all on board with the service contract. Used vehicle, it's a work vehicle,
With 120,000?
with 120,000 miles on it, 3-year, that makes sense to me.
Oh, it's just over 100,000 miles, but yeah, diesel,
Yeah.
100,000 miles. I think we learned our lesson with the big Mac that we bought, or whatever that truck was, that it came here and it was it wasn't up to par, what we thought we were
Yes.
buying, so I think the service contract would be smart, at least for 3 years.
Just 100,801
Yeah,
miles.
yeah, it looks like it's just over 100,000.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then for actual costs, I assume add a couple of $1,000s to this for
For
travel.
travel.
Yes.
Agreed.
I would like to know specifically what the service contract covers, I think. You brought up a good point. I don't see how it would cover oil changes, but they're very expensive, so for me, I'd like some clarity, but I'm all on board. I think you did an incredible job finding a vehicle that we needed. It's relatively new, lower mileage than what we were looking for, so.
So if we add, what do you suggest, $2,000 in travel?
Made plane
It's
ticket
2
down
days
there,
drive
one
plus
way is
flight.
probably gonna be around anywhere from, depending on where he flies out of, $300 to $600. And then
Fuel
fuel
contract.
and
Hotel.
hotel and food,
And hotel on the way back.
yep. So 3,000,
I'd say that's
Not to
fair.
exceed 3,000?
yeah.
Okay, so that would bring the total to $53,608.36. I guess I would make it contingent upon getting the details on the service contract, and we can decide if that's what we want to do. Maybe we make it up to, if you want to round it up, 54,000, something like that?
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That sets a nice standard for us moving forward as well.
Do we need to make an amendment to the motion to say up to 54,000?
Yes.
I would entertain an amendment.
We
Yeah,
did.
That comes
Lots
out
of
his
fuel.
Pocket.
Lots of fuel.
lots of seeds too.
Yes, come on, Frank.
You made the motion.
Well, I don't have to do the amendment.
You don't have to, but come on.
I'd like to make an amendment.
Yeah.
How about, I would entertain an amendment to the original motion to say up to $54,000, not to exceed $54,000 and cover travel expenses to and from the location in Texas.
Make a motion to, so moved.
Yes, there you go.
You know, I think I.
We have a motion.
By now.
Second.
Second.
Second, any discussion on that? I think we've
Do we
hammered
need to
that.
put a contingency in place for the service?
For the
contract?
service contract.
I mean, it's up to the mayor to decide and sign, so if you're not comfortable with the service contract, I mean,
If it's
I
a
trust
fair,
your,
if it's a fair price,
yeah,
I'll
say-
get the information,
Okay.
or if you get the information, share it with me,
Okay.
and then we'll just make sure it's right. But yeah, I think we're probably covered up to 54,000.
Okay.
So we'll definitely take a look at it.
that sounds great.
Okay, so, any discussion on that amendment? All those in favor of said amendment, say aye.
amended amendment,
I'm sorry?
amended amendment,
Amended amendment.
aye.
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 Those opposed? None? Okay, so back to the original motion. I think everyone's on board. Any more discussion?
Thank you, Craig.
Questions? Yeah, thanks,
I know
Craig,
you'll
for
watch
finding
at
this.
some point.
He'll be happy, I guarantee you that. So,
Only if he gets to go pick it up.
yeah, He sees it as a vacation. I don't know about driving back from
Texas in the summertime.
Yeah. Outsource that
No
one, huh?
outsourcing this time, Mr. Scow.
Which, what are you gonna charge us, Marlo?
Well, your gas is $500. Your diesel, I guess, I don't know.
All right, well, you come up with a,
You give us the deal and we'll.
yeah, we'll come up with something.
Free flight down to visit family and come back, yeah.
Yeah,
Road trips are always fun.
yeah. Okay, let's get this,
Thinking about looking at trucks, so you better send your.
all right, any further discussion? All those in favor of said original motion for the town of Alpine to buy public works vehicle, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? None. Congratulations, we're the new owner of a truck. Hopefully, it's still available.
Still available.
We'll,
She calls tomorrow and
yeah, exactly. With our luck, right? All right, let's jump right into the budget. Do we have a,
Motion for approval on second reading of ordinance number 2024-006, budget fiscal year 2025.
Oh, he went to the second one.
Oop, did I?
That's okay. We can do H.
goes?
Oh, sorry,
Let's do the
amended
first
budget.
one. Yep,
Pardon me, scratch that motion.
yep.
Motion approval on second reading for ordinance number 2024-005, amended budget fiscal year 2024.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. Discussion. All right, Madam Clerk, Madam Clerk Treasurer, do you want to run us through this really quick and give us the highlights?
And so while the financials still aren't complete, due to some issues I'm having with Casal and our trainers in Colorado right now, but it's just small things. However, I went up and I updated the massive spreadsheet for the budget, and I spent some time in some parts of it really investigating numbers, in other parts not so much. If you guys pull up the shared sheet, you'll see that the ones that I've investigated are highlighted in green.
Yes.
So that you know that those are things that I've really spent some time on. Tomorrow we have our budget meeting. I think that's when we really start doing some of the deep dive conversations into the budget. But the bottom line is the general fund budget looks like it's gonna have an excess of about $1 million right now. So that's what I'm projecting for the year. So we spent way less money and also gained more income than we originally projected over the year. Some of that, though, is because of the timing of projects.
Right.
So in last year's budget, like the radio read project, there was some things that should have, I think, assumed would fall into this year, that didn't. So, but anyways, we do have an excess. Good news all around for general fund. There are additional needs that I think we need to consider, because this isn't going to happen very often. There is still, we asked Craig to look at trying to find a way to spend less money, but he does need additional vehicles to get us to the point where we can actually have vehicles new enough that we can think about, turning them over every 5 to 10 years. So just things to think about. Water fund, it is showing balanced. It is, though, going to require prior year fund balance to do so. The prior year fund balance is less than originally anticipated, but still required.
Right.
Wastewater fund also requires prior year fund balance to balance at this point. We also are closing, and I need to schedule with the mayor. I got an email late this afternoon. But that does include the $1 million that we have borrowed for the plant. So that we should have that. So that will come through before the end of the fiscal year. It's budgeted to be received. So, again, we do need to use prior year fund balances. It is less than originally anticipated, but we still do need to use them.
So are we hoping that our rate studies bring us more in line so we don't run at a deficit going forward? I mean, we keep using prior year fund balances, but
Yeah.
What is our total, and I know if you.
You're fine.
If you feel more comfortable going by department so that they are
Mm-hmm.
split up, so I see wastewater fund, prior year
Yep.
fund balance of 432,000. Can you just quickly highlight the other two prior fund balances that we're using?
So, water fund,
Excuse me. Thank you.
prior year fund balance, 200,000. So that was, that fund though was estimated to, be deeper into a radio read project. So there's a lot of things that fell
Yes,
through
timeline,
with
right.
that. And then there is no prior year fund balance necessary clearly in general because we have access to funds. We are going to have, money to put in reserves.
so just to clarify, prior year fund balance isn't necessarily borrowing money from the general fund?
Right.
No, it's just,
Correct.
it's just using cash
Okay.
that they already had.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I learned, so there was in QuickBooks, in the old accounting software, there was a line item, an expense line item for prior year fund balance or an income, depending, if there was a negative or positive. But, Wade has taught me that that is not, you don't budget a prior year fund balance. So when we get into Casal and actually budget, those numbers will not be in there. It'll simply just take our cash.
Okay.
It's for the sake of the ordinance, I put it on here because I wanted there to be clarity for people to be like, oh, you're short 200,000. Well, no, we're using our cash.
Right.
That's in the bank. So, to cover that. So, yeah.
Eventually,
So-
hopefully, we get to the point where we're not doing
Yeah.
that, and that's our goal.
Yeah.
But, yeah, at this point, we're using cash that we have, that we'd already planned on using, but we're not using as much. So that's
Yeah.
the benefit.
Yeah.
Any comments, questions? Councilman Larson, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Nope.
Okay. Councilman Dickerson?
It's awesome.
Councilwoman Castillo, do you have anything you'd like to add? Okay.
Ask Monica everything.
Okay. Yep. All right, with no further comments, ordinance number 2024-05, amendment to budget fiscal year 2024. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Ordinance passed on this second reading, right? Okay. Moving down the list, ordinance number 2024-06, budget for fiscal year 2025.
Make a motion seeking approval on the second reading of ordinance number 2024-006, budget fiscal year 2025.
We have a motion, do we have a
Second.
second? Who got it?
Councilman
like-
Larson.
It sounds like, it sounded like,
Yeah, you were first.
really? Okay,
I heard God, you're first.
I'll accept it.
Sorry, Emily.
No.
You
No
were the only
offense,
person in the
Ethan.
middle that could hear it
I know,
really
I
well,
was like-
yeah. All right, so this is for next year's fiscal budget. Same sort of thing. Here, you are using a little bit of prior fund balance.
Yeah, and so for next year, as everybody's aware, we have our 4 weeks of budget meetings at 3:00, starting tomorrow. At 3 here at Town Council Chambers. And so, we're gonna be starting to really look at the numbers. In truth, all of general fund revenue has been examined fully. I'm pretty comfortable with those numbers, that they're set. Expenses are clearly not at this point, and so we will be having Craig involved in the case of, we're going to talk about the events tomorrow at our meeting, and Melody will be joining us to discuss in detail where those budget numbers that I was provided came from, so that you guys can ask questions and really look at what the greater plan is, so that we can start working through them. Some of the numbers, as you get further down into water and sewer, some are looked at, some aren't. It really depends on one that I felt like I could attack without spending a lot of time to get this landed for today. Like in wastewater expenditures, do you see what's on there? That is not accurate. Capital expenditures.
Yeah.
The truth is, I don't know that number, what we still have to spend on that plant. So there's a lot of work to be done in water and sewer. I will tell you, general fund looks pretty good. In my initial, I've gone through a lot of these pretty fully. However, it's showing a prior year fund balance, but based on what we're getting for sales tax, unless there's a huge turn in the economy, I think we're gonna probably see more, but I'm utilizing the forecasting that we were given to do the budget. However, I think you're gonna see those numbers, go up for under tax revenue. So, because of those line items. So, yeah, I am concerned about the sewer department,
Yeah.
to be completely frank, and at some point, we'll have to be spending a lot of
Right.
time really talking about that.
Yeah, I think for me, in this moment in time, there are areas, and we've discussed this, where expenditures and revenues really need to be honed in, because we've increased a lot of our professional services, engineering, our law enforcement has doubled.
Yes.
Those are we have staff salary increases. So at this specific moment in time, I personally, no reflection of the hard work that you've put in, but I know we haven't had as much time to sit down as a council.
Yeah.
So I would need more adequate time to look over those specific expenditures and to see how we can do better next year moving forward.
Absolutely.
So today I don't feel comfortable passing it, but I'm sure tomorrow will bring a lot of clarity, and then before the third reading, we'll have it.
Yeah, we have
dialed
lots,
in.
we're gonna have four
Between
meetings
now and
between
then.
now
Yeah.
and passing it on third
Yeah.
reading, so we'll be able to hammer in on all those specific expenditures. Does anyone have any other questions for Monica regarding this budget?
And our
Miss-
capital projects, tomorrow, we're gonna be discussing that
Yes.
as well. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
So
And
we'll-
Kevin will be here as well.
we'll get a lot more clarity on all of
We'll
our
keep it
capital
short.
projects.
Yeah, to try to
We'll
help me
start with
wrap
that
my
one.
head around it. There's a lot that is we're doing a lot that
Yeah.
I'm involved in, but there's a lot being done that I'm not involved in, and so I don't have real clarity
Yes.
on that. So he's gonna help.
Well, and to speak to your professional services, before, like, we were just booking all that stuff.
To different departments. Oh, no, I
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah,
understand.
but no,
Yeah.
I think what we're trying to do with like annexation and pushing that stuff, the onus to the people that are petitioning.
Right.
And, if we keep doing that with our fees and all these other things, that we should start to see those fees that we have been booking in the past, knowing we've got to take them on, that we should see them decrease, and then, we're pushing all that out to the
Right.
whoever's bringing it. So I think it's a good plan for sure. And,
No, that's a
but
great
we've
point.
been so thankful for Jorgensen. They've been doing, their budget, we blew their budget a long time ago, but they've been doing so much, and we appreciate that. We hopefully have a lot more clarity and nailed down. Once we get rid of the pretreatment plant, I mean, what are you even gonna do, Kevin, if you don't have that to do?
That is a
You're
good
You're gonna be
problem for us
very
to have.
bored, but hopefully we'll.
I will mention, and when you said wastewater, there, one of the benefits of doing seeing a lot of growth.
Right.
It isn't reflected here because it will be in May.
Right.
Is we had a developer that had paid for his building, inspection, but now he's paid for his water and sewer, and you're gonna see a rather large deposit for connection fees
Right.
into, the sewer fund, which is gonna allow us to take a deep breath.
Which it wasn't anticipated.
It wasn't
And so
anticipated.
it's a huge boon for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's gonna change your numbers.
yes,
for the
Yeah.
fund.
dramatically,
So,
yes.
Well, and to have the revenue saved, to start our savings as well. I think
Yeah,
that'll be-
it'll actually cover, in that previous budget, it'll cover the deficit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we'll take some public comment. Any comments from anyone that's here? I guess Mr. Scout, yes.
He's so shy.
Dan Scow, Planning and Zoning. I don't see, do you have a sewer line maintenance line item?
So this is the headings of all the categories.
Yeah, it's
My
very-
spreadsheet's about 400 line items
Got
long.
it. Mike Hunsaker brought up a piece, when they filmed that sewer line.
Yeah.
Were you aware of that?
We told them they had to, yeah.
Yeah, but it was significant sediment. And he's got a video, and he can actually lead more to it, but he said that needs to be an ongoing thing.
I agree.
Yeah, so
From-
we're planning to jet,
Just,
like, we don't have the equipment, right? No, so,
No, and so, no. And we'd have to hire somebody. It's one of the things that Craig needs
Thank you
to
for bringing
budget
that up, by the
for.
way.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's one of the things that needs to be budgeted for. We need to determine what he needs to determine, not we, it's not me. He needs to determine what areas of the system need to be jetted and on what sort of schedule, and then we need to determine a budget for that. I can tell you from historical work experience, we're not buying a jet back.
No.
yeah, we're not gonna be able to do it, but eventually,
No, it's at we bought
We have
one
enough.
15 years ago, and it was well over $1.5 million.
when someone hits the lottery in Alpine, maybe we'll have some extra money.
We could put their name on it.
Yeah, we'll put their name on it, but, yeah, we plan on definitely taking care of things like that. It's ongoing maintenance things that.
No, that's
We
that's
need
good,
to
yes.
make sure.
And
Yeah.
with increased demand, those infrastructure maintenance costs are something that we haven't considered, and we're going to now,
Yeah.
it might be that there's not enough water running through that line.
right?
Yeah, at this point, it probably isn't, yeah.
Well, it could be
That's a good point.
Yeah, the grade
Right.
as well. If it's.
I would like to
Actually, I have been historically MAC, PACP, and LACP certified. I know how to TV a line, and I can do the report.
We'll show that at the next meeting.
Yes, that'd be fun.
All right, let's keep moving forward here.
Thank you, Monica.
If there's no further comments, all those in favor of ordinance number 2024-06 budget fiscal year 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Ordinance carries. Okay, so, Councilman Larson, maybe you want to speak to this real quick on the Alpine Charter School?
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
So as Councilman Castillo alluded to earlier, on their follow-up with the Education Committee for the charter school, we're working on an application, and it is due by July 1.
Yes.
A third party is working on
A third
that.
party.
Yeah, not the town of Alpine.
Not the town of Alpine, a third party is working on it, and
No.
it'll be, it's due by July 1. And where we have right now the potential to compete with other communities, that's still on board. We want to get as a town, at least on vote of supporting, not supporting, so they can add that to the application.
Yeah,
And that was discussed at the meeting, and not to speak for any other education committee members, but it seemed like we were all in line, and we were grateful that there were third parties that were ready and willing to start that application. So if I understood, and correct me, because it was a late evening, the rest of the committee wanted to show their opinion, hopefully their support, and make a formal recommendation to town council. We'd obviously like that to happen quickly. Everybody took a break because they expended so much of their energy on research. So what would we like to propose? Because obviously we want to enhance the application. We do not want to create any roadblocks.
Right. So my intent was to pass this evening because our next meeting is not until
Right.
end of June, which again, the application's due July 1.
so do you think it's a good idea, well, either one of you, I think that town of Alpine, if we choose the town council can write a letter of support. I don't think it needs to necessarily be contingent upon the support of the education committee, but I would like to encourage them to at least come up with some
That
sort of
can be an
recommendation.
addition. We
Yeah.
as a town council
That would,
can make our
that's exactly what I'd
recommendations.
recommend. That would
Okay.
be the strongest
Right.
support is not
Yeah.
only does the town council recommend it, but the education committee
Yes.
also recommend
I
it.
agree. Okay,
Okay.
let's take a vote.
Would you like to make a motion?
Sure.
Councilman Larson?
Make a motion to allow Clerk Chenault to draft a letter of support for the application of a charter school that will serve the town of Alpine and the greater community and authorize Mayor Green to sign it.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. Any further discussion?
For me, I'd just like to give a huge thanks to not only this council, but the education committee, for all the hard work you guys put in, the point, counterpoint. For me personally, that's how I love to debate, and I love other people to have dissenting point of views, because I believe that makes you dig in, research even more. And then I'd also definitely like to thank Senator Dockstetter, President Ogden Driscoll, Jeff Daugherty, Governor Gordon, Dave Jenkins, and for especially Steve Funk, because this would not be happening without him. I have said it before, sitting in this seat for the past 10 years, I've never seen so many miracles happen to get this approved. And it just blows my mind. Regardless of where we go from here, the application will be put in. Just to get to this point is amazing.
Yeah, we
And
moved
thank
heaven
you
and
all
earth to
those.
get to that point.
Yep.
And just to clarify for everyone at home, the dozens of people we have watching at home, this charter is not ours. There's an application process. We hope to get it. We've taken all the steps to put forward a good application. We think we've got a good chance of getting it. Once we get the approval from the state, all that is a piece of paper that says now we can go out and find the location wherever we want the school. You know, a lot of planning has to happen before then.
This is step one.
This is, yeah,
Yeah.
step one of 1,000 steps to get a school, but this is a huge step, and we are very proud of all the people that you mentioned that have put in countless hours getting us to this point. So huge thank you to all of them.
As well
especially
as
that
Mr. Hagedorn.
Oh, yes, I was going to
One of our
mention Rob
donors.
Hagedorn as well.
Yep.
Yes.
But yes, thank you, and
Yeah.
hopefully we can have some good news after July 1. I don't know how long that's going to take.
We
but-
tried to explore every option.
Yeah.
So we definitely feel like we represented our community and were worthy of the task. So we appreciate
They
being
did for sure.
entrusted with it.
Any other discussion on this topic? I think it's a great idea. So, all those in favor of said motion regarding the Alpine Charter School, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. So, thank you. Dang it. Thanks, Frank. It's not official until I hit that gavel. Right, Stephen? Any public comment? Anyone stuck around for the end?
Mayor, I would just.
Yes.
If you send me a template of the letter that you drafted.
Yes,
To
yes.
me, I'll be glad to present it to the commissioners to see if they would like to also do a letter.
Thank you. Let's
That'd be
make
great.
sure we do that. I don't know if Monica heard that, but, Monica?
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Stephen mentioned it, if, after we write it, if we send him a template of what we wrote, that he
I
would
would
put it in front of the
Okay.
commissioners.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's wonderful. Really appreciate that.
Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate you coming. And, yeah, really, hopefully you're not driving home tonight, but, okay, well.
We can get you a great
Yeah, I
government.
don't know
rate.
Okay, so now we have a new hotel as well, and we can get you a government rate over there. Yes. So we'd like to spend those county dollars here. if we could. So next time, just give us a little head up and we'll find.
We will take care of you.
Dollars I spent on my.
Yes.
No, and I forgot to mention that when you were talking, that was a great opportunity, and we're totally open to future things like that. It was a great opportunity to put Alpine on the forefront and show it off a little bit. But anyways, yeah, anytime you need some assistance from the town of Alpine, you know where to call, so. No further public comment. I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I make a motion to go into executive session.
I forgot about it.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion passes.
Since I won't